Birdsong may not be something you would expect to hear in downtown Taipei on a weekday, but that's just one of the surprises you can expect in the neighborhood near Chifeng Street. The area is tucked in between two worlds. On the one hand, it's trendy, filled with coffee shops, boutiques, and hair salons. And on the other, it's a living monument to its working-class roots. Now, the Zhiwen Bookbinding Studio sits at that intersection, too. The former printing shop proudly shows off its roots, even as it's now a store dedicated to Taiwan's modern art and design, operated by history and art aficionado Nadia Lin, who shares her story in this week's edition of Taiwan Talk.
At the exit of the exhibition, there is always a souvenir shop. So local made and imported. So for the imported part, it's all from my company. And then that's why I started my contacts with all the museums in Taipei, in Taiwan, Taipei Fine Arts Museum, the Museum Taichung, Kaohsiung, and then I introduced my French products to them, and bizarrely, they all accepted because they didn't have their own products. And then when the Taipei Fine Arts Museum started to release the museum, the gift shop and the bookstore for the first time at the end of the 2012, I participate in the bidding. Then I won the management right. So that's why I manage the Taipei Fine Arts Museum, the gift shop and bookstore since 2013 till now. I still as a consultant. It's at that moment I realized that I didn't know much about our own artists when I took the management right of the gift shop. So that's why I started to develop the derivative products for the senior artists, including Guo Xuehu or Chen Jing or Chen Qiguan, all these artists. Yes. And then by chance, 3 years ago in 2022, my friend introduced me to the owner of this historic house. So I started my boutique here. And my wish or my goal is because, the clientele is quite different. Here you have young, stylish, young generations, curious tourists. But most tourists, if they come to Taiwan, they often miss the Taipei Fine Arts Museum. That's why they miss the chance to know the Taiwan artists, no matter the senior one or the young ones. So that's why here in this boutique, I try to introduce, to promote, not too serious, but in a, 逛街, this kind of feeling, to introduce Taiwanese artists and also keep at least part of the assets, cultural assets. Here it used to be a bookbinding, 志文装订, bookbinding studio, and maintain as much as possible the way as it was, and also try to introduce this once existing profession to young people, to people here, local people, and also to tourists.
Nadia's fully invested in their neighborhood. You could say she's almost a local who knows all there is to know about this fascinating corner of Taipei.
The founder, Mr. Ye Jingquan, established his studio in 1956, but in the very beginning is at the end of this alley. Then in 1964, he moved his studio here. So then, it's more than nearly 70 years. So you can see layers of ink, even dust inside. And this is hot stamping machine. You just put a layer of gold here and you arrange the lead type under and then just plug in.
This area is very special. Tell me a little bit about the area that you're operating in right now.
Okay. This area is very interesting. Now it's called Chifeng Street area. Originally, some people will call it Blacksmith Streets, 打铁街, but actually it was a misunderstanding. The 打铁街 Blacksmith Street is a little bit in the north part of this area. This area is famous even till today for its second-hand auto parts shops.
I saw that.
Yeah, and we say the MRT separate Zhongshan district in two different worlds. On the other side of the railway, now the Zhongshan MRT line park, on the other side, parallel to near to the Zhongshan North Road leading to Tianmu, that's once lived government officials, high-ranking public servants, and even American officials and soldiers in the old days. And here on this side, it was home for small business owners, laborers, or working class residents. So it's a little bit two different worlds. So many merchants started their business here as a second-hand auto parts stores. They have renew and refurbish all these parts and then sell them to car maintenance shops. And all these parts are, even till today, imported from Europe or from the States. You know, the rich Western people update their cars, change their cars, buy new cars often, and then the retired second-hand auto pairs will come to Taiwan. But now, this area become interesting even before the COVID pandemic. 4 or 5 years ago, more and more shops with young entrepreneurs came here because this area the streets are narrow and the houses are old, so the rents were not so high. Rich will go to Yongkang district, right? But here the rent was once low, so many young entrepreneurs will establish here to open their stores. And now, Chifeng Street areas become one of the hottest spots for visitors and tourists. There are several reasons. One is because the MRT transfer station near the location of 3 department stores and is the 4th busiest MRT station in Taipei after Taipei Main Station, Ximen, because there are many tourists, and City Hall Government Station.
What has the gentrification done to the area and to the people who want to keep their business, the small business owners?
Oh, actually, you are right. They are disappearing. Before, we have many second-hand auto parts shops like this along the streets. But, since more and more stores are newly opened, they started, and also the owners of these car parts stores are getting old. They are retiring. So many, I would take an example, parallel to our lane 49th, 2 more auto car parts stores will disappear. Instead, fashion clothes stores will get in. I think it's we say maybe in few years, in 2 or 3 years, it will become like this. That's why just in front of me, Korean brand newly opened 3 weeks ago. Of course, before it was a traditional car part stores. So one day, I think maybe you can see the owner. We will take a walk later. You can see the owner of these auto part stores. They are above 60 or something. So and their second generation move away earlier. So the final result will be they just close the door and rent this to I don't know what kind of stores anyway.
But charming it may be, Chifeng Street may not be around for too long.
Because they are not like Dihua Street, which was recognized as historical buildings. And what's interesting is you can see several second-hand auto parts still here, and you can see, of course, they have come to their mature old ages. So that's why once they retired and their kids doesn't want to take over the shops, though, the only way is to rent to some new young entrepreneurs.
You were listening to Nadia Lin of the Zhiwen Bookbinding Studio on Chifeng Street. You can catch this episode on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you download your podcasts. I'm Hope Go. Thank you for tuning in.